Greetings, friends and future friends. This video I call Studio Shop Videos. Now, if you're like me, and you don't have a lot of money to pay somebody to come in and fix and repair things in your studio, you got to do it yourself. So I'm going to show you how you can fix and repair and adjust things in your studio. That way you can get back to work creating, whether it be videos or music or whatever you're a creator of. So let's go see if we can find something to fix. Today we're going to put some strings on these guitars. On the left, the beautiful yellow guitar I call Flash. And on the right, another beautiful guitar, beautiful blue, I call Midnight. So let's get started putting some strings on these guitars. So before we get started, there are a few things we need to do to this guitar. So one of the first things we need to do is remove the strap. And to do that, you just push the button on the strap lock and remove the strap. Now all that's remaining is the strap lock button. So to remove the strap on the other side of the guitar, it's easy. You push down on the button of the strap lock, remove the strap lock in the strap, and all that's remaining is the strap lock button. Now on the neck of the guitar, the last thing we need to remove is the felt wrap, which is just basically put on with Velcro. We pull the Velcro off, pull it out of its sleeve, and now we have an open area so we can work in here and put new strings on this guitar. So the strings I'm putting on this guitar today are nickel wound D'Addario XL strings. They're called EXL 120. Now the 3D just means that they come in a set of 3. On the E first string it's going to be a 9, and on the E6 string it's going to be a 42. I've been using these things for a long time and I really like them. So the next thing we need to do is loosen up all the blocks on the locking tremolo. Loosen these things all up. Now we want to keep the bolt loose, but don't take it out all the way. We want to keep those blocks in there. Now on all of my Ibanez S470 guitars, I installed locking tuners. Now you really don't need them when you're using a locking tremolo, but it really makes it easy for chain strings. So next thing we got to do is loosen up all the locking stems. Make sure they're all loose. Now that they're all loose, the string should easily come out. So before we get started, I want to show you a little tool I have. And basically this is just a little cheap electric screwdriver. But one thing I like about it is it has batteries. And why I say that is because what's great about having batteries is that if something happens and I need to put new strings on or something, I can just change batteries. Some of the rechargeable screwdrivers are great, but then you got to make sure you have a rechargeable battery or you have it plugged in. What's really cool is I can pull this out, put new batteries in it, put it together, and be on my way. Then the other end of this thing is really cool too, because it's basically, you can buy these on Amazon, and it's basically set up for the winding peg of a guitar, and it fits right into the slot. And now you're ready to unwind strings. So now let's just get these strings started. Get the tension off them. Then once we get the tension off them, we can wrap them around there. Now we have all the strings loosened up. We can unwrap them and pull them through. And now we can just pull these strings through. And they're out of the way. So now that we have the strings removed, this area is open, and I'm going to use a little bit of my Martin guitar polish to polish up this area. And I really like the Martin guitar polish. It cleans and protects. So we'll spray a little bit down here, and we're going to wipe it real good, get it in there, get this all cleaned up. Now you can see I don't have the guard in here for the neck adjustment, and because I'm always messing with the neck and making sure everything's all right when I'm playing, I never put it back on. Oh, that's looking good, nice and shiny. And in between the pegs, got that nice and clean. And right here's a spot too. Want to get that up on top. Okay, that is looking great. Okay, let's go to the other end of the guitar. So now we're on this side of the guitar, and you can see how the strings are real loose and ready to come out. Now, something I didn't show you, but I want to show it to you now, is that when the string tension goes away, then the springs in the back of the tremolo will want to pull the tremolo that way because the strings aren't pulling this way. So what I usually do is I pull up on the tremolo and I put a piece of foam rubber under here. And in that way, when I release the spring tension, it pulls down on the foam rubber and doesn't allow the tremolo to go all the way down to the bottom. Because there is a chance that if it goes all the way down to the bottom, one of the springs could come off the back of the tremolo unit. And we don't want that, because then that would mean more work, having to take the back of the guitar and put the springs back. So putting a piece of foam rubber in your tremolo, it works really great. And now we're ready to remove these strings. So now we take an Allen wrench right here to this Allen screw right here and loosen them all up. Go over to here, pull this one off, pull this one off, this one off, this one, and this one. And all the strings, maybe I have to get in here a little bit, and all the strings should come out. They're all loose right now. Everything's good. Pull this one out. High E string, pop that out. Make sure the little tab stays in there. That's out. And let's loosen this up a little more. I'm having a little trouble with this E first string. Okay, come on out, bad boy. Uh-oh, there we go. And now we have all the strings removed, ready to put the new strings in. So before installing the strings, what I like to do is take this stuff here called finger ease, and I've been using this stuff for years. And basically, I actually put this on a rag, and when I'm done playing guitar every night, I actually wipe the guitar strings down with this. And it really works. It's a great lubricant. And what I like to do before I put strings on a guitar is spray a little bit on a rag. Take a rag here, spray a little bit on it, and then wipe down the neck. And what it does, it seems like it absorbs into the wood, but I've been doing this every time I change strings. I do this. And then also I go over the frets, see if there's anything on the frets, you know. Now, I've set this guitar up many times, so we don't really have to worry about anything. We know we put the strings on, they're the same gauge and same tuning, so we're okay. But we just want to clean up the frets a little bit, and we know everything should be playing like it did when we took the old strings off. And then once we got that done, and you can see the neck, the wood actually looks a little darker. Really works out well. And now that we have the strings off, we'll take a little bit of Martin guitar polish, spray on there, and then we can wipe down the pickups and get in between. You can hardly ever get in there with the strings. Get in between the body of the guitar and the pickups, clean them up really good. Right in here, can't do that when the strings are on. Get down in there, clean that out real good. And now, looks like we're all ready to go. Looks cleaned up and polished, ready to go. So when you're putting strings on the guitar, especially Diodario, you want to keep this handy. Now, it's showing 8 strings and we're only putting 6 strings on, but you can see from the E, it's a bronze, red is A, D is black, G is green, B is purple, and E is silver. So you want to keep this handy because sometimes you might get confused on what string goes where. So now what we're going to do is take the barrel of this string and we got to cut it off. And I usually cut it off just a little bit past the winding. And once we cut it off, then we can slide it right into the locking tremolo. Take our Allen wrench and lock it up. Now, we just put a little tension on it, not too tight yet. Make sure it's in there good. Awesome. Now, all we got to do it. Now, all we have to do is to do the same thing with the rest of the strings. Now on this final E string, the last string, the E1, it sometimes seems to slip out of these locking tremolos. So what I do is I take my pliers and I just kind of put a little crimp on the edge. Get a little bit, and just put a little bend in it. Now if you look close, you can see a little bit of a bend, a loop on that end of that string. I found on these nines and these fine strings, sometimes they slip out of the tremolo. And all I do is put that little bit of a loop on there, a little bit of a hook, and they seem to stay in there better. Now what we're going to do is take and lock all these down. Make sure they're nice and tight. Not too tight to strip the screw, but usually I put about that much tension, like all I can on my thumb right about there. Make sure everything's cool. That's good. That's good. That's good. And that's good. So now all the locking adjustments are nice and tight. Now before we get started putting the strings in, what I like to do is take the E string, because it's got a heavy gauge, and then slide it through the tuner. Then what we do is we make sure that it slides through the tuner. Then what we're going to do when it slides in here, come on, get in there. Then what we're going to do is look and make sure that the string is pointing straight with the guitar. So now I know that that hole is perfectly aligned with the neck of the guitar. And then I go down through all of them. I go over to the, that's straight right there. And that way when you're putting strings on, you'll know that the hole in the tuner is perfectly parallel with the neck of the guitar, and you're not trying to find it. So now let's put the first string in. We go to our E6 string. We slide it through our block of our tremolo. Then we slide it through the tuner. Now we have the string coming straight through. Now what I like to do, and it's worked this way for me, I have the tremolo down below pretty much straight. So what I do is I pull the string as hard as I can, make sure it's nice and tight. Then I mark off about maybe an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, about an inch. Then I back where my finger is an inch from the tuning peg. So I got the string pulled tight. And then from here to the tip of my finger, I make that about an inch. Then I slide that back to my finger and I lock the tuner. Then I pull up on the string, get it out of the way, and I put my screwdriver on there. And now it works perfect. You got two nice wraps around there. Now we go to the A string. Slide it through the block, and being we have that tuner going straight, we know it's in there, that the hole's straight with the neck of the guitar. It'll slide right in there, and now we'll do the same thing. We'll pull it tight, and then we'll go back, say about an inch, maybe a little bit more, and then go boom. Then I'll lock it down, pick it up out of the way, pull on the string a little bit, and lock it in place. Looking good. And then that's what we'll do for the rest of the strings. Bring it through the block into the tuner. Being that we have all the holes in the tuners lined up, it should just slide right in there. So before I start tuning the strings and locking down the tremolo, what I do is all these tuners on this locking tremolo tune the strings. So what I do is I back them out all the way, so I have them all the way out. Then I bring them in like 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is probably a little bit over half a turn. And what I found is that's about halfway between this thing being totally screwed in and totally screwed out of its place. Now, where that comes to be an advantage is when you lock down this tremolo, and if these things are all turned out, which means you can only turn it in, this will mean you can only bring the string up. With it being in the middle, 7 little half turns, now, when I lock this tremolo down and get everything ready to go, I'll have the ability to tune the string up by turning it in and tuning the string down by unscrewing it, because I have those 7 little half clicks. I found that useful when you're working with a locking tremolo. Now, before tuning the guitar up, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of my finger ease, spray on a rag, and then wipe the strings down. Now we got the protective lubricant on the strings before our fingers touch it, because our fingers have a lot of acids and could get the strings to be dirty. Now we got the strings all ready to go. So we now have the tuner hooked up, bringing up our D string, which is E string, but we got it tuned down to D. Then our A string, which is actually a G. Then our D string, which is actually tuned to a C. Then our G string, it's actually tuned to F. Our B string, which is actually tuned to an A. And our E string, which is actually tuned to a D. Looks good. Now what I usually do is take the string and just put my finger on it and work it around a little bit. Get it broken in. And now let's go back and try that again. Yeah, it went way down. Bring back up to the D. Bring it to the G. Bring it to the C. There's our F. Then there's our A. And there's our D. So now everything's all set up, ready to go. We'll bring it into the studio and play on it for a while and get those strings all dialed in. To save time in the video, I'm not going to show you me playing the guitar. But what you need to do is play the guitar for a while. Then once you play the guitar and everything seems to stay in tune, then you come over here and you lock down these locking blocks on the locking tremolo. Then once you know the guitar's in tune and everything's looking good, you can come over here and cut the remainder of the string sticking out. You don't want to do this until you know you have the guitar in tune, because sometimes you got to pull this string out and redo it again. And there you go. We just put new strings on this guitar, and man, does it sound great. Another job well done. Can't wait to hear what they sound like with their new strings in the studio. So I hope this video showed you that you can fix and repair these things yourself. That way you don't have to have someone else come in and do it. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. You help us grow the channel. That way we can fix more stuff. So take care, my friends, and thanks for watching.